Shabbat Shalom. In our Parashat Miketz, we're learning about the dreams and the journey of Yosef, the dream of Paro, the journey of Yosef, how he become from forgotten brother and son, jail, sitting in jail, slave. He become the vice king of Egypt. And the story goes that Paro dreaming two dreams. And the dreams are that he's standing near the Nile River, the bank of the river, and 7 cows, very healthy, fat cows going out from the river, standing there, and then 7 skinny, weak cows, 7 standing between, near them, and the skinny cows eating the fat cows. This is first dream. Second dream, the same idea, 7 single wheat, standing, fat, healthy, and then 7 none, the opposite, weak and small, and the weak and small single wheat swallowing the 7 healthy fat ones. Those are the 2 dreams. And he hearing by one of the ministers that was in jail with Yosef, and we learned that last week, that Yosef is a good and is a correct dream interpreter. He understands what is the meaning of the dream, and he explained it correctly. So he recommending him to come to Paro. And what is the big solution of dream as we're reading in the Torah? Yosef explaining to Paro that the 7 cows and wheat are representatives of 7 years that will come to Egypt. And the same thing with the 7 weak and small cows and wheat. And it's telling us that will come 14 years. 7 will be healthy and very big with enormous wealth and amount of food and products that will come to Egypt, both from the fields and then animals and everything. And 7 years of weakness, of hunger and nothing. This is the solution in the Chalom. And then Yosef adding, and now Paro should start collecting in a smart way. You should appoint someone smart enough to collect it in a wise way, to collect everything that you can in those 7 years that will come to the 7 years that will come after. And then Paro appointing Yosef, and this is the beginning of our parasha. The next of the story is about the brothers coming to Yosef to take food, and they not recognizing them, and it's all story that maybe we will talk next week. But what is the solution of Yosef? This is the very big question that everybody asks. If there is an explanation to this dream, this is the explanation. Cows, it's animals, it's meat, it's products. The Nile is the source of all good products in Egypt. Everybody, the cows and the wheat coming out from the Nile. And also the wheat, of course, is representing that there is water, there is wet, there is 7 yearly circles of everything, also of especially of wheat. And of course, if we're talking about circles, it's circles of 7. So 7 years of good, 7 bad years. The solution of Yosef is obvious. If there is explanation, this is the explanation of the dream. What is so special about this explanation of the dream? this is a question that everybody asks, and there is many answers. For example, there is an answer that the everybody thought that the dream cannot be literal, need to be like a analogy, talking about something more spiritual, something different. That's why they start to think about something similar, but it's hard to understand why Paro liked the solution of Yosef so much. It's the obvious solution. Second question, all the question will lead us to understand something much more deep in this story. Second question is, after Yosef telling the dream, as we just said, telling the solution of the dream, the explanation of the dream, Yosef telling Paro, now you should appoint someone responsible and start collecting. Hello, you are a slave, came from the jail. You're coming to the Pharaoh, and you start giving him ideas what to do. He did not ask you what to do. He asked you what is the explanation of the dream, not what he should do now with this information that you gave him. First of all, he should accept what you're telling him. After that, maybe he will ask you your opinion, what he should do to resolve this. Not you should just mix in the ideas of the government, how to govern. Not only that, Paro and all his servants, the Torah said that they liked the thing that Yosef said. The things, not talking about the solution, talking about the idea that Yosef said. What does that mean? It should already ringing us very big bells to understand that Yosef, maybe his point was not the explanation of the dream, it was the idea that came after. And this is very strange. What does that mean? Third and final question that will be the beginning of the answer to understand. It's about the main and the basic commentary on the Torah, of the literal meaning of the story. Rashi, it does not explain anything. What was the strong and genius solution that Yosef gave? What was so amazing about the explanation, about the... What is it? Rashi not saying a word, and this is very, very strange. Rashi should explain those small things. So either Rashi explained it already, or it's obvious. So let's read what we have from Rashi. Rashi, quoting in the story of the Pharaoh, that Rashi learning from the words that all the advisors of Paro gave him solutions, and he didn't accept them. And Rashi giving one example of solution. They told Paro, you will have 7 daughters, and 7 daughters of yours will die. This is the explanation, example that Rashi give for what the advisors of Paro told him. Okay, why Rashi need to give example? Why Rashi choosing this example? The idea of Rashi coming from the Midrash. The Midrash gave another examples. What is so special that Rashi give this example? I'm just saying the point. A lot of commentaries, a lot of ideas, and the point of the Rabbi, it's brilliant, and it's brilliant. How simple is this? The Rabbi explained that Rashi here giving us a small hint what was the genius of Yosef, what Paro liked so much, and what was the problem of the advisors of Paro, why they didn't say this solution to Paro. The dream goes that 7 cows standing, fat cows standing on the bank of the river, and then 7 skinny cows standing near them, and they standing together, and the skinny cows, swallowing or eating or whatever the fat cows. So of course the obvious explanation would be it's talking about 7 years, it's talking about growth, it's talking about food, it's talking about anything. But how come, if the cows representing time, or the wheat also representing time, how it can be simultaneously? Meaning, 7 cows standing, and they standing for period of time near the 7 cows that's standing near them, the skinny cows. It means that we have in the dream a certain point that 14 cows standing near each other. If we're talking about years, it's not fitting. Because 7 years together, because they are one unit of years, and then 7 years. But what is it can't be together. Why it's together? So that's why they drop the idea, the obvious solution of 7 years of wealth and 7 years of hunger. And then they suggested ideas of things that can happen simultaneously. And this is why Rashi choosing this example to give us what was special about this example. Because what's the specialty of this example? Because Pharaoh, as we know, as he was king, and he was not only a king, he was a very mighty king. And not only a king of Egypt, that Egypt, we know that they had many women. So Pharaoh, as a king, it was possible that he will have 7 kids, and 7 kids will die simultaneously. And that's why Rashi chose this example, to show us that this was the solution that they aiming for, something that can happen simultaneously. For example, Rashi did not chose a different solution, that 7 kingdoms you will fight and 7 kingdoms you will win, even though it can be simultaneously, but it's very rare to go to fight 14 fights in the same time. So that was the problem of the advisors of Paro, the simultaneously things that happening. The cows standing near each other in the same time, the same thing in the second dream also. Then came Yosef. What was special about the solution of Yosef? The solution of Yosef was that it's true, it's 7 years, and they're not happening in the same time. But there is something simultaneous happening in the 7 years of wealth. You start thinking about the 7 years of hunger. You start collecting. Because you're starting to collect, it means that you already, your mind, in the 7 years of hunger. It means that you occupied in the 7 years of hunger. So something of hunger already start in the 7 years of wealth. That's why they're standing near each other. Because you start to collect to the 7 years of hunger. In other words, what was genius about the idea of Yosef was that God not only telling Paro what is going to happen, God telling Paro what is the solution to the problem. God wants Paro to save the world, to be the person that will calculate the food, that he will be smart enough to have the solution of the 7 years of hunger from the beginning, from the first day of the 7 years of wealth. That's why they are standing together. That was genius idea of Yosef, or God's spirit of Yosef. And that's why Yosef giving immediately the solution to Paro's problem. After giving Paro the explanation of the dream, Yosef continues, and now you should appoint. Why? Because this is the same, this is continue the solution of the dreams, because the dream was not only what's going to happen, they were also what you should do about that, what would be the solution to the problem of the 7 years of hunger. And that's why Paro liked what Yosef said. He did not like the solution. The solution was obvious. The problem was what we're doing about the simultaneous. So Yosef told Paro, you not understand the deep meaning of the dreams. The deep meaning of the dreams is that you should start thinking about solution to the problems from today. So you should appoint someone that will be responsible to collect all the food. So Paro and his servants liked what Yosef said. Not the Yosef's solution was obvious, but the idea, what to do, that was the genius idea of Yosef. This is one hint, one taste of how deep is stories that we can find easily. We think that they are simple. We think that they are so simple that they are obvious, or they are too simple. But if we think about it in depth, we can see that there is strong idea inside, deep idea inside, and it's already hinted in the commentaries of the Torah, as Rashi hinted us that the problem of the servants was the simultaneous idea of the dream. We can learn from it something amazing. The story of Yosef in Pharaoh's palace was the beginning of everything. The beginning of the family of Yaakov going to Egypt, and the beginning of the idea of all the Jewish people going to Egypt and becoming slaves, and all the story of going out from Egypt, the birth of the Jewish nation as a nation chosen by God. The story of Egypt is it's the beginning of the journey of Jewish people outside Israel, suffering from bad conditions, as we know all history, and also our times. A situation that the Jewish people living in a dream. This time of galut, of exile, it's called by our sages time of dream, and by King David in the famous Shir HaMa'alot, Hayinu kecholmim, we were like dreamers. Why? Because this time it's like a dream. What is the meaning of dream? Dream is something that you can dream that you are inside a house and opening the door and you're in a different city, in a different country. Why? This is a dream. It can mix. So we are a time of mixing. We have time that we're not sure what is the truth, what is the priority, what is important. We are troubled with our ideas. We are not sure what is the right priorities in life, and we are not sure where we are standing. I'm here, or I'm in a different city, or I'm in a different situation in life. What is my inner truth, the good side, or the other side? So a dream. And the idea that Yosef giving Paro is that dream is not the solution of the dream, is to know that in the dream itself hinted that you should think in the 4 years of fat, you should think about the other years. Meaning, we can we can have simultaneous periods of time together. We are living in time of dreams, but if your mind is already occupied with the redemption, meaning with the purpose of everything, what will be in the end, so your mind can settle your path, meaning you would live in a different times, you would live in a better times, because they are here. We're just not seeing them because we're sleeping. If we're setting our mind to a goal, or our mindset will be as a person that is not in slavery, as a person that is in time of redemption, so our life will change to be in time of redemption. Because where a person head is, this is where he is. A person is inside his thoughts. So we should know that even our bodies still in time of exile, we can have in simultaneous time our mind in a different place, and we can achieve something much greater. This is a short idea that we're learning in our parasha. I would say another idea about Chanukkah. In Chanukkah, we know that we're celebrating two miracles. The miracle of the olives, that we have olive oil enough for one day, and it lasted for 8 days. And the miracles of the war, winning, the Maccabees won the war against the Greeks. Many ideas we can talk, many ideas interesting, that from one hand we're celebrating much more the miracles of the olives, of the oil, much more than the winning of the war, even though the winning of the war saved our lives, and we know to celebrate winning of wars. It's something that Jewish people doing. For example, Purim. What's so special about the holiday of the oil? We're celebrating it by lighting the menorah, of course, for 8 days, of course, because the oil was lasted for 8 days. What about the war? But I want to say a different angle. We're lighting the menorah for 8 days, 8 nights. The oil was lasted for 1 day, and it was lit for 8 days. So the question is, what was the miracle in the first day? The first day was enough oil. So what was the miracle in the first day? Why we lighting the menorah for why we lighting the menorah for 8 days, including the first day? And the answer is, there is many answers. I would say 3 levels. First answer is that the miracle was that the oil becomes so in quality, so high quality in a miracle way, that it was ending only 1/8 from the oil every day. So the miracle starts at the first day. Happened actually in the first day. The oil becoming so high quality, so it was lighting for much longer time. Second answer is, we find in our sages that it was not become better quality, it's because it become much more quantity. Either it become more quantity in the small box of oil that we pour every day. We found more and more enough to pour. So the miracle was 8 days. All we found inside, again, refilling, the menorah was refilled every day in a miracle way. So we have explanation of quality, we had explanation of quantity, and there is another explanation. The third explanation of the Rabbi is that it was not quantity or quality. The olive was burning, and it was not finished. That was the miracle. It started from the first day that the Kohen put the olives, the oil, and the oil was burning, and the fire was lighting from the oil, but it didn't finish. What is amazing about this explanation is that this explanation in a all different level. The miracle is a all different level. Why? Miracle of quality, it's one time miracle. The oil become in a high quality. Miracle of quantity is one a day. Every morning that you should light the menorah, you see more oil in a miraculous way. Miracle of oil that giving power to the fire to be born, and from the other end is not finished. It's every second a new miracle. It's something that can be even the fire eating oil and the oil not finished. It's every second. There is a lot of what to talk about this idea of miracle, but what we can learn from this idea is that a miracle, what is a miracle? A miracle is something unnatural. We have in life times, most of the time, we are living in a natural way, in our comfort zone, in our basic house, place, set of mind. Miracle is something above, something wonder, something that makes you believe in something higher. And you can have a miracle once every 8 days, in the beginning of quantity. We can have of quality. We can have a miracle every morning, miracle of quantity. What's special about Chanukkah is that a miracle is every second, because we can reveal such a high level of miracles inside us, something above our natural being, that is every second in life. And this is when we're doing something more. We know that we are in a mission and we feel it. This is the power of Chanukkah. Shabbat Shalom, Chag Sameach. We should learn and know much more, and we should keep more and more above our nature. Chag Sameach.